Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.
Joni Anderson of Adams is a Democratic candidate in the 14th Senate District. The election is November 3. Joni, thank you. Welcome to WisconsinEye.
I'm glad to be here.
When I listened to your interview with WORT in Madison, you said we need to spend more money to keep people out of jail. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Sure. In the past number of years, we have built 8 prisons, and there's 1 private prison, and there's a couple juvenile centers that are being considered. This money should be directed into alcoholism, drug abuse, mental health services to keep people out of jail. It does absolutely no good to the individual to charge them with 10 DWIs and not provide treatment for them before they get to the point where they need to be put in jail.
As part of the criminal justice campaign, you support legalizing both medical and recreational marijuana, right?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on why?
I don't feel that's a nonviolent crime most of the time, and it isn't any different really than alcohol. If an individual wishes to smoke a joint instead of drink alcohol, so be it. If they're not actually out there causing trouble, they shouldn't be, punished for it.
Okay.
A lot of states out there, you have Illinois, you have Michigan. They have both medicinal and recreational marijuana, and they are reaping in the tax dollars. And our people are going across the state to utilize and to buy this drug, and they're getting the tax money. What is it doing for us? We have people that would love to use medicinal marijuana instead of the opiates that are very addictive.
Okay. The governor has asked the legislature to adopt a special session package of 9 bills on policing reforms. It would ban chokeholds. It would require the report of use of force by officers. It would ban no-knock warrants. Do you support the governor's bills on policing reform?
Yes, I do. And just the idea that the legislature won't even come to listen and to work on an issue that is so prominent in our state right now, it says that they don't want to listen.
The Republican senators would like to come back into session and repeal the governor's statewide edict that everyone wear a mask in enclosed areas. Do you support the governor's edict on masks, Joni?
Yes, I do.
From a public safety standpoint?
Yes.
Okay. We got a report yesterday that tax collections for the year that ended June 30 were actually up slightly, but no one knows about tax collections in our current year. If we're $1 billion or $1.5 billion short, should we raise taxes or should we cut spending?
I think we need to look at holding the line on it. There's ways that we can bring in more tax dollars, and one of them is legalizing medicinal and recreational marijuana.
Okay.
We don't need to be spending all this money, as I said before, on building more prisons. We need to be looking at smart ways of spending our money and ways that are going to actually address issues in this state.
Okay, 2 questions on property taxes. Wisconsin is a high property tax state, and as a result, we've put caps or limits on what school districts and local governments can levy in property taxes for more than 20 years. If you're if you're in the legislature voting on the next state budget, would you vote to continue those caps or limits on property taxes?
I live about 2 miles outside of Adams, and I pay less than $500 for my property taxes. Where you go into town, they're paying $2,000. And I really think that we pay enough taxes, but the schools need funding. And there should be no, if communities want to improve their schools, since the state isn't giving it to them, they prefer to move a lot of it over to private voucher schools. We need to be able to fund our public schools without them having to close down. We just had one close down here just a little over a year ago, another school in Adams County.
So it sounds like you would like to do away with those caps and limits on property taxes?
To a point, yes.
Okay. Do local governments, to reduce their reliance on property taxes, do they need new sources of revenue? Like Milwaukee wants to levy a half-cent sales tax. There's a proposal in the Capitol that would expand our 5% sales tax to some services and products that are now exempt and give local governments that money. Do local governments need new sources of revenue?
They do. There are some counties and cities now that charge more in sales tax. You just go right down to Wisconsin Dells and Baraboo. Okay. Right down the road.
Okay. Last year, Governor Evers recommended raising the gas tax to stabilize our highway funding. Our gas tax is 30.9 cents per gallon. Hasn't been raised in 10 or 12 years. Could you vote to raise the gas tax?
We need to do something to fix these roads. And part of it is smart spending, where Wisconsin is mostly the rural most throughout this state. We don't need real expensive fixes, but we need to fix our roads right the first time. That would save a lot of money rather than go back and spend every year on the same fixed putting Band-Aids on our roads. We're to the point where our roads need to be fixed. So if the gas tax has to go up for a couple cents, so be it. But right now, we need just smart spending. The roads in Adams, I can talk about County M. There's numerous roads that need fixing. Just down on 82 on the way to Oxford, a little bit of it's fixed, but it's to the point where you go down that road, you're bouncing your car all over the place.
Okay. We've seen the role that hospitals in Wisconsin and nationally have played treating COVID-19 patients. If you're in the state Senate voting on the next state budget, should hospitals should they be an even greater priority in the next state budget, Joni?
Yes. They need testing supplies. They need PPE. There's a whole lot of areas that they could have done a better job in if they would have had the support from the state legislature.
Republican leaders of the U.S. Senate favor exempting businesses and organizations that have complied with COVID-19 guidelines to protect customers and employees. They want to exempt them from lawsuits. Do we need a state law like that?
I think that does not even need to be in the COVID-19 negotiations. It's a separate issue, and it shouldn't be holding up monies that should be coming to this state or around this country. I don't know that there's been really enough research on whether you need that kind of a bill. But right now, it doesn't need to be connected to any type of relief bill that's being discussed.
Okay. When school districts or local governments plan a major public works project, should they be required to give preference to Wisconsin businesses? The reason I ask is one study said out-of-state contractors got $72 million in these contracts in 2015, but that number went up, doubled to $146 million in 2018. Local governments, should they be required to give a preference?
Yes, and they should be required to be paying prevailing wage. Wisconsin should be first. I know of a big project down in Beloit right now, out of state, Amazon warehouse.
Okay. I noticed on your campaign websites, you emphasize the need for cleaner energy. Can you elaborate on why that's an important campaign issue for you, please?
Energy costs in this state have skyrocketed. We need clean energy just to move forward. We should be supporting wind energy, solar energy. It's cheaper and cleaner for the people to utilize and more energy efficient. We're not supporting the fossil fuel companies, but this isn't becoming more and more of an issue with especially young people around the state.
Okay.
Because it goes right into climate change.
Final question, differences between you and your opponent on November 3, please.
One of the big differences is I support nonpartisan redistricting and a higher minimum wage and health care for everyone. Those are the three main issues. I would vote to bring the Medicaid dollars back to this state. There's absolutely no good reason to turn them away. I will work across the aisle to solve some of these issues. If you want to go back to nonpartisan redistricting, the support that this has been shown around the state, there's no reason for it to have died in a committee. None whatsoever. It should have been worked to brought out on both sides, both Republican and Democrat, and there have been some Republicans that have signed on to this bill, but there's no reason for it to have died in committee, and there's no reason for political parties to be drawing the lines.
Joni, thank you. Joni Anderson of Adams is a Democratic candidate in the 14th Senate District. The election is November 3. Joni, thank you for talking to WisconsinEye.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.